You know, in the world of real estate investing, there's a strategy with a name that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a comic book. It's called the BRRRR strategy, and it is a ridiculously powerful way to build up a rental portfolio.
I mean, just think about this for a second. What if you could buy one rental property and then use that same property to fund your next purchase and the next one after that without ever having to save up a whole new down payment each and every time? Well, that's the core idea we're digging into today. And yep, the name of this method is BRRRR. And no, it has nothing to do with being cold. It's actually a super effective 5-step method for scaling your real estate investments. So what does it stand for? Well, it's an acronym for the 5 steps in the process. You buy a property, you rehab it, you rent it out, you refinance it, and then, this is the best part, you repeat the whole thing. This is the engine that makes everything go. Okay, so before we dive into all the technical stuff, let's just break this down with a really simple analogy. I love this because it makes the whole concept just click. Imagine you're at a garage sale and you spot this rusty old bicycle for 20 bucks. You take it home, you get to work, you clean it, you fix the tires, you give it a slick new paint job. You put in a little effort, and now that bike is easily worth $60. You've literally created value out of thin air. And here is where the magic happens. You go to a friend and say, hey, check out this bike. It's worth 60 bucks now. How about you lend me $40 and you can hold the bike as collateral? They agree. And just like that, you've got your original 20 bucks back, plus an extra 20 to go find another bike to fix up. You still own the first bike, and you've got the cash to start all over again. That right there is the BRRRR strategy in a nutshell. Okay, so now that the whole bicycle thing makes sense, let's swap out bikes for houses and look at the real 5-step process that turns this into a repeatable engine for building wealth. This right here, this is the roadmap. Each step has to follow the last one, and they all lead up to that crucial final step, repeat. So let's break down what each of these really means. So it all kicks off with the buy. Now, the key here isn't just buying any old property. The secret is to find one that's undervalued. You know, a fixer-upper that most people would just walk right past because it needs some love. That discount you get up front is your built-in advantage. Next up, you've got the rehab phase. This is where you get your hands dirty and literally add value to the property. By updating a kitchen, throwing on a new roof, or even just a fresh coat of paint, you're not just sitting around hoping the market goes up. You are actively forcing the property's value higher. All right, once the place is looking sharp, it's time for step 3, rent. You find some great tenants, get them moved in, and boom, your asset is now generating monthly cash flow. And that income is so important because it's what proves to the bank that this property is a stable income-producing investment. And that leads us to the most pivotal step of all, the refinance. Now, this isn't your typical refi. You're going to a lender and saying, hey, look at this place now. It's totally renovated, it's got a paying tenant, and it's worth way more than when I bought it. The bank then sends out an appraiser to confirm its new, much higher value. Which brings us to the grand finale, the beautiful final step. Repeat. The cash you get from that refinance loan pays back everything you initially put in, and usually you're left with some extra seed money to go out and find the next deal. You've essentially recycled your initial investment, and you're ready to start the cycle all over again. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's make this real. Seeing the actual numbers is what really drives home just how powerful this strategy can be. Let's walk through a pretty straightforward example. So let's say an investor finds a distressed property. It needs a lot of work, but they see the potential. The seller agrees to a price of $150,000. Deal done. Now, they've done their homework and they budget $30,000 for the renovations. We're talking new floors, an updated kitchen, paint, the whole shebang. This is that forced appreciation step we were just talking about. So you add those two together, the purchase price plus the rehab costs, and the total cash out of the investor's pocket comes to $180,000. That's the total amount of their own money tied up in this project. And here is where all that work pays off. After the renovation is complete, a professional appraiser comes out and determines that the property's after repair value, or ARV, is now $240,000. So by investing $30,000, they've created $60,000 in new equity. Pretty good, right? But this is the absolute magic moment. The investor goes to a bank for a cash-out refinance. Now, a bank will typically lend about 75% of the new appraised value. So you take that $240,000, multiply it by 75%, and what do you get? $180,000. The bank cuts them a check for that amount, which perfectly pays back their entire initial investment. They now own a cash-flowing rental property with basically zero of their own money left in the deal. Now, it's really easy to get carried away by those numbers, but it is so important to understand the context here. This strategy isn't some new invention, and it is absolutely not without its risks. We need to add some perspective.
You know, the actual practice of buying, fixing up, and refinancing properties has been around forever. For decades, people just called it value-add investing. The catchy BRRRR name, though, that was really made popular in the 2010s by online real estate communities, especially BiggerPockets, which did a great job breaking it down into this easy-to-remember formula. But here's the deal. This BRRRR engine can totally seize up if you're not careful. Your rehab could go way over budget, the appraisal could come in lower than you expected, which is a huge problem. Maybe lenders are offering terrible terms, or interest rates suddenly spike, trapping your cash in the deal. The bottom line is, you have to nail every single step and always have a backup plan. And that brings me to this quote, which I think just sums it all up perfectly. BRRRR is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a disciplined method. It requires you to really know your stuff when it comes to renovation costs, local markets, and financing options. It's all about systematically creating value, using leverage in a smart way, and then executing that refinance flawlessly. So there you have it. We've seen how BRRRR works, from a simple bike analogy all the way to the real-world numbers. It's a fantastic engine for building a rental portfolio because you get to recycle that same pot of money over and over and over again. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Now that you understand how it works, the mechanics and the risks, is this discipline method the right fit for your investment goals?